welcome Tom, and thank you for joining me this afternoon. Earlier this week was World Diabetes Day on Tuesday the 14th of November, so I thought it's quite timely that we do this interview. Thank you for you happen to be here on holiday, but it's
timed out pretty well.
That you decided to drop in as well. So Tom Thurlow is a 21-year-old Indigenous man from Brisbane who was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes when he was 16 years old. He manages his condition to prevent complications, including with regular eye examinations, because that's what we do here.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we don't do the examinations, but we advocate for eye health at Vision 2020 Australia. So just to jump into it, how did you come to be diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, Tom?
So at the age of 16, it was a week after my 16th birthday, I started to have a thirst that just couldn't quench. I was drinking 12 litres of water in 2 hours. I was getting spontaneous muscle cramps that just were absolutely agonising. So I went down to see my local GP and try and find out what was going on, because nothing I was doing seemed to fix it. They then did a blood sugar reading, which is just a single finger prick, and then they test your blood on a little strip, and that came back as a reading of high. Now, high on a glucometer measures up to 33 millimoles. Now, high means you're above that, so that's well out of the target range of sort of a 4 to 8 that you're trying to be at there. So then I was rushed up to hospital and had more tests up there, and that's when I found out that I was type 1 diabetic.
Okay. Was that scary when you first found out?
Yeah, it was quite a bit of a shock. Obviously, just having a birthday, you sit there and you eat your cake and things like that. You don't have to think anything about it. When the doctor came in to me to let me know what was going on, he said to me, "You should be dead. You should not be here." I had no ketones, which is like a kind of acid that your body produces when your sugars are too high. And I had none of those. So that was quite interesting. He was shocked. He couldn't believe what he was seeing, but I was diagnosed at 43.6, which is far, far too high. So yeah, it was quite a big shock. Sort of makes you put into perspective each day as a blessing.
Absolutely. So what does having type 1 diabetes mean for looking after your eye health?
So for eye health is one of the top things that you're looking out for. So for me, I wear sunglasses a lot to try and protect my eyes, A, from the sun, B, from anything that could blow into them. And yeah, in terms of eye health, I go and get my checkups every 6 months just to make sure my eyes are still okay. I've got prescription sunglasses for a different reason other than diabetes. In terms of eye health, I have astigmatism in my left eye. So that's nothing to do with diabetes, but it's the same as podiatry, dental work. You've got to go and get your checks usually every 6 to 12 months to make sure that you're all healthy, and so you don't lose any toes or teeth, or gum disease is ripe. And obviously blindness is a very big side effect of diabetes and poor diabetic management.
Oh, okay. Thank you. And what does working with an endocrinologist mean to manage your diabetes?
So they're kind of that fountain of information there, that basis that you've got. So I have appointments with her every 6 months. So I go back and see her and just ask her any questions that I may be unsure about. Recently I've taken to trying to work exercise a bit more into my life so that I can stay fit and healthy. But that does various things to your sugar levels, which can then obviously cause complications later on in life as well. So I go to her, ask her any questions that I need. We also do tests for kidney and liver functions and your HbA1c, which is your average sugar level that you're at. My recent tests, 3 months apart, because I took a bit of a gap from seeing her, so I needed to catch up a little bit. And in 3 months, I went from a HbA1c of 7.2, which is still okay, but sort of heading towards that higher end of the scale. I managed to bring that down to 6.5, which is quite a big drop. And she said that's reduced my chances of complications, so blindness, losing toes, things like that, by 30%. which is a huge drop. So just working with her, I've been sort of discussing various different topics. But yeah, with an endocrinologist is just your fountain of information that you can go to and ask any questions that you've got to better educate yourself.
Okay. Well, so for those of us who are completely new to like the world of diabetes, what is an endocrinologist? Do they just help people with diabetes, or do they?
Yes, there's 3 different types of diabetes. There's type 1 diabetes, which is genetic. So you can get really sick, and then something in your body triggers a genetic marker which attacks your pancreas, and that causes a little islet in your pancreas to close up, and that's how you get type 1 diabetes. Type 2 is a lot more to do with weight and exercise more than anything else, and diet. And then there's pregnancy diabetes as well. Some pregnant ladies do get diabetes just during pregnancy, and that sort of goes away, which can be managed with just a little pill rather than injections. But yeah, they specialise in diabetic management. So obviously they're looking at, we get certain little numbers across the screen. She goes, this number's good, this number's good. And yeah, for me, I don't know too much about what else she might be involved with, but it is definitely a speciality.
Thank you. What changes have you had to make to your diet and your lifestyle to manage your condition?
So originally, I was a big fan of Maltesers. That's taken a bit of a hit in my personal life. But in terms of lifestyle, and this is something I've come to realise in the last sort of 2 years, is you don't change your lifestyle to suit diabetes, as you make the diabetes work with your lifestyle. So I enjoy doing trampoline, so I go down to bounce, I run around and play paintball on the weekends, all of which sport is a big part of diabetes management as well, because your body reacts differently when you have adrenaline pumping in your system and that sort of thing. So for me, it's been a lot about educating myself and seeing how my levels jump or drop depending on what exercise I'm doing, which is still something I'm working on, and it's ever changing, and each person's different. So I can ask questions of my endocrinologist and she can give me a generalized answer, but it may not be the same for me as it is for the next person along. So, it's part of it is diet, obviously. So you do want to try and keep a bit of a balanced diet. But you do need your carbohydrates to keep your sugar levels up, as well as trying to keep them down with insulin. So, yeah, no huge changes. Just the chocolate's sort of taken a bit of a hit.
Yeah, I understand that. I'm a big fan of chocolate myself. So what advice would you give to anyone who recently diagnosed with type 1 diabetes?
Well, my granddad's just recently been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. So he has to choose whether he gets his pancreas removed or whether he, continues on and just deals with the cancer as it comes. But I had to sit down and explain to him what's involved with diabetes, and a lot of it is guesswork. So it will be a bit tricky to start off, and everything's different, like I said, for each individual person. Personally, I think, like I said, you sort of got to make diabetes work for you. It's not controlling your life. It's just something that you have to deal with each day, which again took a turning point for me probably 4 years ago. I went on a leadership program, and I was 2 years of being a diabetic, and I was just like, oh, I'm a diabetic. And my leader of that program came up to me and said, you are not Tom the diabetic, you are Tom who has diabetes. And for me, that was a turning point. That was like, oh, it's not a defining feature of me. It doesn't make up who I am. So I've just got to learn how to make this work for me. And that's sort of, where you start educating yourself and you realize, all right, this is what it's going to do when I do this, and you can make it work nice and easy for you.
Okay. Well, that sounds like really good advice, Tom, and yeah, that's very inspirational. Can you, before we started this interview, you started showing us some little gadgets that you use to manage your diabetes. Can you explain how they work and what they are?
Yeah, certainly. So I've got an insulin pump, which is a continuous delivery of insulin throughout the body. The insulin that I've been prescribed is NovaRapid, so I'm on different measurements of NovaRapid every hour, and then different measurements for what they call a bolus, which is when you're eating food, that dosage that you then do for your food to make sure that your levels stay flat. At the moment, mine are changing, and they are ever changing, is the biggest thing that I've learnt throughout my experience with diabetes. And the insulin pump allows a lot of flexibility in that regard, because you can turn it off when you are going too low, which gives you an opportunity to bring your sugar levels back up. And then you can adjust it. If you need more insulin for a couple of hours, you can again have that flexibility to do that. You can take it off to go for a surf, and then you just come back and check your sugar levels in a couple of hours and see where you're at. And go from there. Yeah, it just allows a bit more flexibility than pen therapy, which is the injections with needles, which you do. Well, when I was doing it was 2, one morning and night, and then you were having, depending when you ate, anywhere between sort of 4 to 8 injections a day, depending on whether you ate small meals or large meals or what you wanted to do. And the second device is a device that's just come out, probably about, maybe 6 to 9 months ago. That's when I found out about it, which is a Freestyle Libra continuous glucose monitor. Now, this device, you simply click a button, wave it over a patch that's in your arm for 2 weeks, and that will take a reading of your sugar levels. It's not necessarily 100% accurate all the time, is the only downside of it, but after a little bit of learning, you can sort of see the trend of what it's doing, which allows for more effective diabetic management. If you ever think it's out by too much, you simply do a finger prick and pop some blood on a strip, and that's it. Same as you would without it. So it really gives you an idea of what your body's doing at different, through exercise, different times of the night, that sort of thing. Allows a bit more flexibility there.
Then pricking your finger, you mean?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So obviously, if you want to see what's going on in the night, it does a graph for what's happened and what it's read, whereas I'd have to wake up midnight, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, just to prick my finger and find out what's going on. So really takes a burden off of that and gives you an idea of where you need to make adjustments to ensure that you're staying in that 4 to 8 margin.
Yeah, great to hear new technology, helping people manage their diabetes.
It's come a long way in the 6 years that I've been diabetic, so hoping for a bit more along the way.
Wow, fantastic. Well, thank you so much for your time this afternoon, Tom. It's been amazing talking to you.
Fantastic. It's good to be here.
Thank you.